Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a fresh episode of the HT Dialogues, where we are discussing the future of work in the era of artificial intelligence. We are rising to the dawn of a digital India that looks upon the world with a mighty workforce, strong leadership, and a prime democratic foundation. Being a country with the highest youth population in the world, India has a greater advantage over the nations to becoming a global leader. So, where do we start? Yes, with our 21st century generation. Rightly known as the skill of the century, artificial intelligence has truly become a part of our daily lives, so much so that it feels quite normal when a device plays games with us or even talks to us. It has been estimated that AI is likely to create almost 58 million jobs in the next few years and contribute as much as $15.7 trillion to the world economy by 2030. Therefore, teaching AI right from schools has never been more pragmatic to the generation that is growing in a completely digital world. Let us dip our toes into this revolution of artificial intelligence happening around us and learn more about its relevance in a discussion with our esteemed panelists. Ms. Shweta Khurana is the Senior Director, Asia Pacific and Japan, Government Partnerships and Initiatives, Global Government Affairs Group at Intel. She has 23 years of experience in driving trusted relationships and partnerships with governments, development agencies, academia, and communities around the world. Welcome, Ms. Khurana. Our next guest is Dr. R. Hassija, Managing Director of Indraprastha Group of Schools. He is an active member of committees contributing to courses and assessment on CBSE and NCRT. And he has authored more than 50 books in mathematics and computer science. He has also been honored with the National Teachers Award. Welcome, Dr. Hassija.
Thank you. Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Mr. L.V. Sehgal is the principal of Bharati Public School, Ganga Hospital, Marg. Ex-chairman of National Progressive Schools Conference, he is the joint secretary of Child Education Society. Conferred with many awards, he has been a key member of the course committee and the committees to finalize marking schemes for CBSE exam. Thank you all for joining us today. I would like to start with you, Ms. Khurana. There is no question that artificial intelligence is one of the most important technologies being developed. As powerful as it is, people still have a lot of questions about it. Can you please help us understand what artificial intelligence is and how does it affect us?
Thanks. Thanks, Rupali. So, data has become a driving force in our world today. And if we have to understand artificial intelligence and its impact on us in a very simple way, we can say that AI innovations help turn data into actionable insights, operational efficiencies, and amazing experiences. In fact, our CEO, Pat Gelsinger, calls out AI as one of the four superpowers which can drive economic growth. Now, we're already seeing AI make an impact in our lives, both in visible and invisible ways. AI is here in our virtual assistants, the algorithms that create targeted advertising every time we start a search or open a news feed, to the robo-advisors that many times guide financial investments. But we are a long way from where AI or how AI is portrayed in science fiction movies. The definition of AI continues to evolve, but fundamentally, AI is the ability of machines to learn from experience without explicit programming in order to perform functions which are typically associated with the human mind. Today, AI is trying to reflect human senses, so vision, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. We at Intel, we believe that AI can be a force for creating positive and powerful change in our world. In fact, it can be or should be used to create a better world for ourselves and our future generations.
Thank you, Shweta, for introducing us to the exciting world of artificial intelligence. The pace at which world is changing can sometimes be overwhelming. Dr. Hassija, we are getting accustomed to AI and our children will be highly dependent on it. As the director of a leading group of schools, are you concerned or excited about this development of artificial intelligence? And why is it important for schools to adapt to education of AI and machine learning?
Thank you, Rupali. I am really very excited about innovation in technology. Technology has always been a part of our education since time immemorial. One can refer to Mahabharata, Ramayana, extensive use of technology. But now, development in AI has brought a totally new paradigm of teaching and learning. People, I think, will take time to understand, as Shweta said it, AI offers you probably a new learning paradigm which is beyond the human thought process. Not only it would empower every teacher to transact the teaching learning process in a totally new way, it helps every teacher to personalize the learning pattern. Thus, it reduces the learning gap. It empowers, therefore, all differentially able. It also helps people not only to recognize the competency of every participant, every learner, but also helps them to strengthen the various skills, imbibe various values. Believe it, Rupali, I am so excited. We had introduced in a smaller way in 1995 as computer aided learning. AI has probably the scope beyond one thought process. Especially we are talking about VR world where total virtual paradigm is created. So if you ask me, whether it's a gamification, whether it's a critical thinking, whether it's a new communication skill, overcoming the language barrier, all is possible through integrating technology in the class.
Thank you, Dr. Sija. As rightly said, AI has to be a valuable tool that will aid the future transformation, especially through education in schools. Dr. Hassija, continuing with you, UNESCO has dedicated the theme of its 2022 State of Education report for India to artificial intelligence in education. Can you throw some light on the new Education Policy 2020 that aims at encouraging experiential learning to the present generation?
See, NEP 2020, we are calling it as a complete new document, has very clearly stated that technology would be the main driver in the 21st century education. And why it is being said that technology would be a 21st century driver? You know, technology allows you to have access at any point of time. People have thought, keeping in mind the rural and the urban India, keeping in mind the digital divide which is there, which exists. The Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, and other people in education have thought of creating digital repositories where access to at any level to any learner, keeping in mind his or her competencies, his or her ability to learn and grasp, and also and her way of learning. It also empowers people with the differentially abled skills to overcome the challenges and learn the basic skills which are essentially required. NEP has very clearly said that when you want experiential learning, which is an integral part of the teaching learning process, that is only possible when you integrate AI as well as the machine language, what Shweta talked about.
So far from what Dr. Sija said, NEP will most definitely be a transformative force in school education as it envisions the goal of holistic education, especially in terms of digital literacy. Mr. Sehgal, how are we looking to establish AI in a classroom setting in order for an enriched curriculum in schools? Maybe if you could help us with some examples as well.
Yeah, sure, Rupali. But the significance of AI has been very clearly mentioned by Madam Shweta and also by Mr. Hassija. But when we would talk about integrating it into the education in schools, I think a clear-cut roadmap has to be laid out
Sure.
because there are financial implications and there are academic requirements both at the same time. It means every school has to create a roadmap for itself. First of all, identifying the resources which are already available. And I think the biggest resource available is qualified teachers in schools. So I will enlist as teacher training as the first and foremost requirement, because without that, nothing can move. The second aspect, which we can start immediately and without much expenses, are the basic courses of AI which can be taught in the classrooms to the children so that they get exposed to the subject at a young age, and we don't take much time in accomplishing whatever is required to be accomplished. But then there are other aspects which require certain financial planning. Now, if I say that AI has to be integrated into the classroom teaching, it means every classroom has to be IT enabled. And the interactive panels which are required in the classrooms, AI enabled cameras which are required in the classrooms. If we are talking about virtual reality experiential labs in the classroom, there is equipment required for that. If we are talking about AI which can be implemented in the security and safety of the entire campus, it means the CCTV cameras and the AI surveillance system has to be enabled in that. If we are talking about using AI's capabilities for feedback and assessment into the curriculum, so that the teachers get exact feedback and timely feedback of the learning outcomes which are there with the child, so that a roadmap can be planned for their teaching. That also has to be enabled. I think these aspects have to be enlisted by every school in details. And then a roadmap has to be generated. This is at a school level. But I think if we are talking about outreach of AI to a larger segment of people, then the government's initiatives are also required. I think a major step has been taken with the coming in of 5G, which will enable a better connectivity. And then these facilities will be available to larger numbers. I understand that there are now technologies available where the internet enabled classrooms can be set up at remote areas without any much investment, especially with the 5G coming in. I think we must list down all these, prioritize that. One another resource which is already available with very large number of schools is ATL labs, which have been set up by Atal Innovation Mission. And a lot of equipment is available where certain experiments can be planned for the children and this teaching can start. This is what I wanted to say in my initial remarks.
Most certainly, I think very valid points highlighted, Mr. Sehgal. A multidisciplinary approach towards the right faculty, teachers, teacher training themselves, resources, devices. Absolutely, these will all be a must, and a certain roadmap needs to be at school level and policy level be established. Thank you. Continuing with you, Mr. Sehgal, how will AI and machine learning teach about moral and ethical values to students and not just the hard skills?
I think the biggest debate happening is in on this topic because there are two divergent views. One is that with the AI coming in, when we are talking about our privacy rights and how we are being monitored all the time. But I think when we talk about children, there are already pets available, which are AI-enabled pets. I think the children are drawing a lot of emotional strength from them. They are communicating with them.
Shweta highlight and talk to us about. Uh, what are the tools that are being, or the aids that are being used to help students develop or build their moral and ethical values to students, and not just their uh, only helping them aid build their hard skills.
Sure. So, students basically need the right skills and resources to understand what AI is, what they can do with AI, and why is it so important in the digital world which all of us live in today. I want to just step back to 2019. India was one of the first countries which actually announced AI as a formal subject of study as part of skill education, where CBSE under Ministry of Education declared that. Now, we've collaborated with them, and the idea was not just that the students learn the technical knowledge behind it, but also learn the core skills. And let me just very quickly talk about the kind of skills which we have as part of the Intel AI for Youth. So we're talking about technical skills like computational thinking, algorithmic thinking, getting to understand what the three domains of AI is all about, like computer vision, natural language processing, AI for data. But more importantly, it's how do we build a relevant mindset, which is how do we really build an understanding of AI ethics, biases, privacy concerns, and then how do we create access to AI tool sets. The objective of all the three pillars, so whether we're talking about skill sets, mindsets, or tool sets, is to ensure that the students just don't learn a new body of knowledge, but they also learn how to apply it meaningfully to build those social impact solutions. Dipali, I'm not able to hear you.
So sorry. So as I hear you, of course, while it's a long way, and AI is still under has a is take growing by leaps and bounds. There is going to be a comprehensive approach towards developing AI as a technology, while also we can aid these students with moral and ethical values that can be built, as against just building the AI or hard skills. Dr. Hassija, what are some of the ways through which AI education can promote critical thinking and emotional intelligence in a classroom as they explore AI applications? You are on mute, sir. We can't hear you. So if you could start again.
Sorry. Uh, Rupali, the way Shweta was explaining how the algorithm writing and the step by step development in the field of software ensures critical thinking that's beyond any measurable point. When we talk about using technology, it is not just measuring basically the newer approach of the teaching and assessment. It is also allowing a child to have a total new platform where a child learns by doing, by experimenting. When she is in a virtual world and a challenge is posed to the child, imagine, without making actually an error, she is allowed to make a mistake, learn the consequences of that mistake, and therefore imbibe the relevant skills and do the corrective measure. Nowhere on earth any platform can be made available to the children where this thing can happen. Therefore, AI is one such platform which develops critical thinking, and gamification, we all talked about, Shweta also said it, is one such newer pedagogy which is developing critical thinking, learning by doing. We are talking nowadays a lot about chatbot. Chatbot is a total new approach. You can say somebody is available to you remotely, and with the directly connecting with that chatbot, you can have a learning procedure. We talked about rural India, or Sehgal was talking about the financial and all. One such all can be taken care when you have the role of AI. My only concern is one needs to ensure that change is something which is very constant in technology. It is said that when you open the box, the hardware is outdated. And when you click on the software is outdated. Thus, you need to incorporate yourself with the change in the technology. But on the positive side, it is that when you are working with such a versatile and volatile environment platform, you are updating yourself, therefore learning happens, you learn for better. In the classroom, and as a teacher you are using, you can use group discussion, you can have a quizzes, you can have debates, you can have online numerous activities, you can have online gaming. All such 100% would develop critical thinking, would develop problem solving technique, would inculcate the confidence, courage, would help children to communicate better, and thus wholesome personality is developed.
Absolutely. I think these practical projects will be perfect for learning various aspects of AI technology, as they will not only help children learn the concepts and implement them, but it will also bring in a lot of fun factors along with it.
One thing, Rupali,
Shweta,
can I add to the one more line?
absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Hassija.
We talked. NEP is also talking about competency based, and we are talking about that in a class of 40 children, we are not able to identify the competency of every child, the innate potential of every child. You know, there was a time in Mahabharata. It is said that Guru Dronacharya, he knew Arjun can be good in archery, so he trained him in archery. But Duryodhan, he did not train him archery. He trained him in mace. Today we know that we are not able to identify the innate potential of 40 children in the classroom. But this AI enabled technology would help every teacher to identify the competencies, the potential of every child, thus bridging the learning gaps, and therefore empowering the child with the potential would be such easy task for every teacher, and this will help every person, every learner to evolve in a better wholesome person.
Absolutely. And I have always seen you support technology. And today I'm seeing now strong support coming from AI. And I'm sure Intel, Shweta will be very delighted to hear this, that, we have such directors and principals definitely, gung-ho about the technology. Shweta, coming to you. Intel is leading several initiatives to empower youth with appropriate skill sets, mindset, tool sets, and opportunities to use technology impactfully and responsibly. You spoke about it, by an AI fueled world. Please tell us about Intel's ongoing collaboration with the CBSE. That will be nice to hear.
Sure, thanks. So we've been actually collaborating with CBSE right from 2019 onwards, when they just announced AI as a subject of study for skill education. In numbers, we've skilled almost 3.5 lakh students, and we build capacities in more than 14,000 teachers, have reached out to more than 11,000 schools who've taken, not just adopted AI as a subject of study, but also looking at implementing AI to support learning outcomes across other subjects, maybe like a mathematics. I have use cases where they've even used it to improve learning outcomes in Hindi and English, which is absolutely phenomenal. In parallel, we're also collaborating with the National E-Governance Division under Ministry of Electronics. So they have a program called Responsible AI for Youth. It's a national program for government schools and the Department of Science and Technology for all the students who reach the final stage of their program called Inspire. But more than numbers, what I really want to share is what is heartwarming is when we see students build their own AI impact projects, which can benefit a larger community. And I'll share a couple of examples. So we have a girl called Nandini, who's a class 9th student from a school in Lalitpur in UP. And she created a soil analysis and crop recommendation AI model, which is actually now a boon to her farmers. She comes from a family of farmers. And her project, Mitti Ko Jano, Fasal Pehchano, can access various components of soil, things like nutrition content, pH, temperature, etc., to predict the most suitable crops to be grown in any region. And very recently, she got an opportunity to showcase her project to the Honorable Prime Minister at the Digital India Week. And she's just one such girl. Now imagine if 350,000 students are building those social impact projects. That's a huge change we are talking about. And that's where it comes about building an AI ready generation in India. In fact, just recently, last year, 12 school students from CBSE schools applied for technology patents for their AI applications. Now, this enables us to build that AI ready generation, which will make our future workforce far more competitive in the global economy at large.
This is actually wonderful to hear. And kids, when technology taught to them in the right way, can come up with such unimaginable innovations and solutions, which we possibly wouldn't have thought of as well. Thank you. Shweta,
Rupali,
yeah,
Rupali,
please go
before you
ahead.
ask question again, it will be rather a crime if we don't teach them technology. These all children in the school, they are born post 2010 when internet came in, or when actually the iPad and all they came up. These children are so good in use of technology. It's much easy for their fingertips. Everything is there. I really appreciate, Shweta, the Mitti Ko Jano, that project. I think you must publicize it. It is an inspiration for everyone, even in the urban school, to follow up such project in day-to-day life. But our children have also been doing. I'm only coming to the point, if we are unable to teach them technology, and if Shweta is saying only 350,000 children, whereas it should be at least 3.2 million children learning technology, AI, then probably we are not useful. Anything which is to be blamed is we as a teachers, nobody else.
Yeah, for a generation that has grown up looking at and seeing and interacting with technology, I think they are the closest who understands it. Thank you, Dr. Hassija, and for being a strong supporter of AI and technology. Shweta, I'll continue with you. There is an urgency to address the digital skills gap and build trust in responsible usage of artificial intelligence. How is Intel ensuring that AI doesn't become a threat in the coming future?
So that's a very interesting question because instead of seeing AI as a threat, we should actually see the skills gap as a major threat. As per the World Economic Forum, just closing the skills gap can add up to almost $11.5 trillion in the global GDP by 28. But all too often, though, AI is viewed as complex or even mysterious. I mean, when we started talking about taking AI as a subject of study in schools, we heard a lot of feedback. But, students study that in engineering colleges. Why do you want to go to students who are like 13 or 14 years old and ask them to develop something in AI? Notwithstanding that that's the most creative age which we are looking at. And their projects, the projects which we do, I think Dr. Hassija also pointed out, is something which cannot be done by people who are at least in the advanced body of knowledge, who are studying in post-graduation, or even, I would say, who are in the working domain today. Now, I would certainly say that we should not see AI as a threat in the coming future. For all the students who are watching this, right, Jarvis was most certainly the best assistant in the world to Iron Man. But when compromised, it can create havoc too. So, making responsible usage extremely critical to development. Responsible usage means being very aware, being acutely aware of AI ethics, inclusion, bias, privacy, and integrating that into every aspect of the AI cycle. It requires a very comprehensive approach or system statement. What we need to understand is how do we release the full value of intelligence first approach to the transformation which we want in a very ethical and an unbiased manner? And that is when AI can be used for creating a better world than the one in which we live today.
Absolutely, very valid point. Who can learn faster than the kids, I mean, I think it's become pretty much a basic requirement or a right of every child to learn technology and of course, now AI. Great perspective. Thank you, Shweta. Coming to you, Mr. Sehgal, I'm sorry we lost you in between. Um, the basics of AI, robotics, and programming should be a common knowledge and not restricted to the just the privileged ones. You touched about 5G may possibly making it easier, but it could be still a long way to go, if it reaches our villages and our hinterland, and by when. Why is it important to bridge the socio-economic gap and make it accessible to all?
I feel it's very important that we should make it available to a very large number of students, and not only in schools in metro cities or elite schools, but also a larger number of students, those who are studying in a large number of schools in rural areas. If we are talking about inclusion in education, then inclusion has to be for technology also. We cannot leave our children of rural areas outside this particular very important aspect. Mr. Hassija just mentioned about the number of children, those who should be involved in AI teaching, usage of AI, and they are to make themselves capable of working with these systems. And Prime Minister has also said that we have to create a Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, how can we create an Atmanirbhar Bharat unless each and every segment of our students is involved in that? So it's important that we create certain technologies so that we can make it available for the larger number of students in all areas, especially in the remote areas. This is also important because there is a lot of fear among many people that AI is going to snatch away a large number of jobs in future. Now, unless this myth is clarified to each and everyone, and all children understand that it is technology is going to actually create many more opportunities. Now, unless we touch these children at this age in the schools, this myth will not be clarified. And then we also have to see that integration of technology into teaching can actually somehow fulfill that problem which we had during the pandemic. We were talking about a digital divide at that time. Children who had access to online teaching and children who didn't have access to online teaching. And the results of those are visible when the children have come back to school, the type of gaps which we can see in the children at present. If we want that it should not happen in future, it's very important that we take each and every child into our fold and we create opportunities for each and every child wherever the child is studying, and not only in the elite schools but also in the remotest anganwadis or in government schools, a single teacher school. The other day during this 5G announcement, Prime Minister was in the India Mobile Congress, and there some technology were showcased where a small learning center can be set up within no time. A single box which is going to be available, a network enabled classroom can be set within half an hour or 1 hour, and that too at a very reasonable cost. When such technologies are available, I think we should make use of it and we should provide this opportunity to each and every child wherever the student is studying.
Very valid point. There was this whole inhibition when the computers came that, it'll take away all jobs. All it did was only enhanced our style of working and probably created more jobs. So access to AI is looking to be a basic fundamental human right as we envision a future where every single application, device, and system will be infused with AI. Shweta, coming to you, we see that Gen Alpha has been exposed to voice activated research, ML, and IoT tools at their homes. Since they have AI integrated in their lives so much, will they find themselves interacting with robots just as frequently as with humans? What does the future hold for them? Could you please summarize it for us?
Thanks, Rupali. So, last few years have been truly disruptive, right? Technology has never been more important to humanity than it is perhaps now. We've seen changes in work tasks. So there is a shift in division of work between man and machine. And there are a lot of studies which talk about X percentage of so many tasks can be automated. But what we need to understand is that AI is performing more human tasks that were difficult to achieve with traditional computing. There are changes in workforce. uh, just spoke about job displacement. X million jobs are going to go away, right? But there's an equal amount of data which says 97 million new roles will appear, of course, which are more AI, more data science related roles, and how the current and future workforce needs to be reskilled for survival and competitiveness. There are jobs like transparency analyst, algorithm forensic analyst, explainability strategist, with skills required like relentless reimagining, which perhaps we did not learn when we were in school. Now, all of them are new to most of us. And there are changes in workplace. We're all working from home. We're taking this conversation from home, and no wonder there's some bandwidth connectivity issues, etc. But what is interesting is that we are at a very interesting cusp where there's a need for fusion skills for new jobs. And many leading companies in various industries are already riding the third wave. They're developing the next generation of processes and skills to capitalize on human machine collaboration. So let me ask you a question, right? How many of you will be comfortable with a robo or an intelligent machine sitting next to you during a flight? Now, you'll find the answer varies greatly based on the generation one belongs to. I'm not a futurist, but working with youth for many years now, I can certainly say that because of Gen Alpha's exposure to intelligent machines, they have developed new and distinct skills that draw on the fusion of human and machine talents. Now, this can most certainly help them in creating better outcomes than what the previous generations could achieve by working independently. I am talking about where Gen Alpha in the future workplace will be better equipped to lead, live, and survive in a hybrid environment where humans will complement machines and AI will complement human beings by aiding them with potential superpowers. Our purpose at Intel is that we create technology that improves the life of every person on the planet. Our objective is actually how do we really empower the Gen Z or the Gen Alpha and talk about the current and future workforce with AI skills in a very inclusive and responsible manner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the pandemic gave our Gen Alpha a wee bit peek into how hybrid operates. So we've gone through some great reasons about why introducing children to artificial intelligence is crucial. Parents, it's never too soon to begin having conversations with children about the role of artificial intelligence in their lives, as that will set them up for a successful and promising future where they are inclusive and ready for the world. However, being the most tech intensive generation yet that is growing up alongside AI, it makes it extremely critical for us to sensitize them to the ethics and issues surrounding AI. We hope this discussion has been helpful for our students, parents, and schools. Thank you all for sparing time to join us today on this discussion. Thank you.